Welcome back to Road to Fire. We're a family of three documenting our journey to fire, financial independence, retire early. Let's chat about our September budget outline. I will share our monthly goals and all of our real numbers by expenses and our budget like always, so hang with me. We are planning to be more aggressive in our budgeting, and when I say aggressive, I mean tightening our expenses and increasing our savings for the last 4 months of the year. We just started tracking our savings rate, and this number is key to hitting our fire number. I'll link our video here that outlines our full fire number. We need to find ways to increase our saving rates. Because we're not able to travel, which is our biggest variable expense, we are really trying to get our savings rate higher in the last 4 months of the year. In May and June, we had a very high savings rate for us, as our son was not in daycare and we had limited variable expenses as everything was shut down. In July, we had a 3 pay period month, so this explained the higher savings rate. You see a dip in August because my son went back to daycare and we traveled back home via car. September, we're back up to 44%, but below our overall goal. Ideally, we'd like to get our savings rate around 50% year to date. Right now, we're tracking at 50.1% and hope to maintain that by the end of the year. We budget using the zero-based budget method, which has worked really well for us in the last few years. Essentially, all of our income has a line item in our budget. They are either tied to an expense or a savings. Savings will include our sinking funds and investments. We see a budget as being as a roadmap or guideline for our money. We never hit our budget 100%, but try to stay within 3 to 5% of a margin of error. I manage the budget in our home because I just love budgeting and all things finance, investing, frugal living, and saving money, hence the channel. We have weekly family meetings where we glance at the budget. I might bring up that we're over on groceries this week or we should not have takeout next Wednesday, just to give us some nudges in the right direction. But on payday, I do a deep dive in our expenses, which is where I sit down and actually pull out the spreadsheets and track all of our expenses for that given time period. And at the end of the month, we have a closeout meeting, and it's very informal. I just highlight 3 to 4 things that we need to work on next month and provide a snapshot on how we turned out. We don't stress about the closeout, as the mid-month view is a strong indicator for us on how our month would turn out. I manage our budget electronically and keep track of everything in Excel. It works easier for me as Excel does all the math and I can populate all my formulas without worrying about punching in numbers. I'd like to get our budget to a more simplified format that leverages past month's numbers automatically to help create an annual look for our actual expenses. Okay, let's get into the September budget details. We use a zero-based budget method which helps us track all aspects of our budgeting, including our income, expenses, and savings. Here's our September income report. This is a standard view for us. This month, most of our income will come from our W-2. Our goal in the coming months is to have more streams of passive income to balance out this chart. It is very risky having limited streams of income, especially weighted on your employer. So here are our details. Our income is slightly lower than last month due to my husband increasing his 401k contributions by 1%. It's only a slight decline, making our total W-2 income about $11,300. I'll link our last month's budget here as the numbers are relatively close but a little bit different. We don't expect any bonuses this month as my bonus will come in November 6th and my husband's comes closer to Christmas. I still can't believe it's September already. We don't have any passive income for this month. We do have cashback and survey income that comes in, but I don't add that here as it's less than $200. I simply subtract that income from an expense, and that's why I love spreadsheets as it's easy to make quick adjustments. In our other bucket, we are expected to get about a $700 refund from another flight from another airline. Wells Fargo is working on having this refunded this month, and it should hit in the next coming weeks. I'm putting in $700 versus the total amount as I want to leave a buffer just in case things are adjusted based on the claim I have. This entire refund would be going to debt anyway, so I'm excited to have that money come in. Overall, this month, our income will be $12,000 even. I mean, who doesn't love a good even number? Now let's look over our expected expenses for September. One thing to note is that there are pending expenses from the last 2 days of August that might fall into our September budget due to transaction delays with our banks, but I budget for that here. So here is our September expense report. I always highlight our top 5 categories: savings, rent, car payment, childcare, and tithing, as they represent over 80% of our total expenses. Saving is seen as an expense here because we use a zero-based budget method, but in reality, it's not an expense. This method gives us the ability to track our savings as well as our expenses effectively each and every month. The numbers you see here are after our 401k and HSA contributions at our work, which is about $1,200 per pay period. Our total expenses are just under $12,000, leaving us a small buffer from our income. So let's get into the details. Our biggest expense every month is savings at $5,260. We have increased our savings slightly from the previous month, and we are increasing our sinking funds amount in our savings account versus investments as we plan to buy a home soon. Our next biggest expense is rent at $1,800, which is average for our area. We live in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, updated brownstone. We will then be sending $1,600 to pay off our cars, and this includes snowball payments, not just our minimum payments. We plan to pay off our Audi this month, but are waiting for the airline refunds to come in fully. We have a 3-year-old, and he's currently in preschool for 2 days a week plus private swim lessons, costing us $1,180 a month. We are Christian and we believe in tithing 10% of our income to the church and charities, but you can see that the $500 here doesn't equate to 10% of our total income as of this month. We usually top up our balances at the end of the year with our annual bonuses from our company. These top 5 expenses represent 86% of our total income. My main goal is to increase our savings rate by decreasing our rent, so more to come on this in the next month. Our grocery is pretty much fixed every month as we allocate $100 per person. Surprisingly enough, my 3-year-old can eat a lot, so he does go through his $100 budget as well. We have allocated $200 for restaurants, which is high, but my sister and her family is coming in town, so we'll wine and dine them minus the wine. For car insurance, we use Progressive, and I think we have a great rate with them. This rate is for both of our cars. Next time, we'll pay the annual rate so we can save a few more dollars throughout the year. We then budgeted $170 for car maintenance. We have to pay a wheel tax in our city, one of the many random taxes we have to pay for both our cars. I'm not sure if this is common, but this is the first city I've lived in that I had to do this. Our phone is fixed with Sprint at $167. We have an unlimited plan with them, and we love and hate them at the same time. These last 5 expenses represent 8% of our total budget. Our next expenses are tiny, but we still focus on them to make sure that we're correct month over month. For utilities, we are expected to pay $155, which includes electricity, gas, and internet. Our gas and electricity is much higher than normal due to the heat and us being home much more than normal, basically because of COVID. Our business expenses dropped from $250 to $150 as we dropped one low-performing blog and a couple of subscriptions we don't really need. This expense stays relatively low throughout the year. For gas for both our cars, we're expected to pay about $130 this month. My husband goes into work 2 days a week and he commutes 1 hour each way. I'm fortunate to still be working from home probably throughout the end of the year. For household, we budgeted $100, but I doubt we'll hit this as we had a large Target run last month for household items. And for apparel, we budgeted $50 because my son had a growth spurt overnight, basically, so all of his shoes and pants no longer fit him. So we upped it up to $50 from $40 from last month. And for entertainment, we budgeted $20, including our Apple Cloud storage as well as Netflix. We get Hulu for free from Sprint. Our total expenses for September is $11,957. We have a smaller than normal buffer from our income and expenses. We usually have a buffer about $100, but wanted to tighten up our budget moving forward for the remainder of the year. Surprisingly enough, August's budget ended on a good note, so we're very optimistic for September. Maybe a bit overly confident. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, but don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.